Hey, welcome everybody. My name is David Pritchard, and I'm here with Lori Falk and Ray Jatan. We are Healy board members for the United States, which simply means we've had some success in promoting and sharing Healy over the last couple of years. And Healy had selected some of the distributors to be on a advisory board. So we've taken it upon ourselves to create this webinar to help share Healy with you guys and anyone that you know. So if you were invited to this webinar and you know others that are interested in frequencies and energy, feel free to share that link really quick. We can get some more people joining us here. But let me give you a quick explanation of what frequencies are, or what energy medicine would be considered. Because when I heard about this, I did not know anything about it except for that I had heard of a Rife machine. Okay, so way back in the 1930s, there was a man named Dr. Raymond Royal Rife who had made a machine, was doing all these experiments where his patients would hold on to some, I can't remember if it's like copper or brass, some kind of metal rod, and it would put a mild electrical current through their body at a very, very low current, but at very specific frequencies, because we've learned that everything is energy and frequency at a subatomic level in our bodies. So every cell in our body has a specific frequency that is its ideal vibration. A liver cell and a hair cell will have a different ideal vibration. So it was found that by putting specific frequencies in to your body, whether it's microcurrent like Dr. Rife was doing, or some people do light therapy, or through sound, or there's different types of frequency, but it's all measured in hertz. And but they found that putting specific frequencies would cause a reaction in the cell where ATP production was increased, amino acid transport was improved, protein synthesis improved, and then of course everything else is also a frequency. Our thoughts, our brain waves, emotions. And if you're into holistic health at all, you understand that your emotions can affect your physical, and your physical can affect your emotions. So it's all tied together: physical, mental, emotional health. And we found that frequencies can help with all that. So in fact, way back in the 100 years ago, a man named Nikola Tesla, you might have heard of, a very famous quantum physicist, he said, if you want to understand the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. And Albert Einstein said the future of medicine will be the medicine of frequencies. So here we are today. It's almost getting to be like Star Trek: The Next Generation in their medical bay, where they would have that tricorder and they could kind of scan over the body, and then they would lay on that table, and a beam of light would go across them and fix things. That's maybe the future, but it's kind of related to what we're talking about with frequency and energy. So the question I usually ask people when I'm explaining, when I first wanting to introduce the Healy, I just say, have you ever heard of energy medicine, or the idea of using frequencies for your health? And then I'm able to explain a little bit about the Healy. So that's the basic idea of frequencies, that we can add specific frequencies. In our case, we're doing it through microcurrent is one way. Scalar waves in a 0-point field is another way. I'll show you both of those. Actually, I'll show you all three. The third way is radionics, which can even be done. It has to do with quantum entanglement in a quantum field. So there's a lot of quantum physics happening here. So people much smarter than me would understand this. Probably Sheldon from the Big Bang Theory would understand this, but he understands it better than I do, right? I don't need to necessarily understand it. I just know it works. I've been using the Healy right here for over 2 years. And so we're going to share with you how it works. I'll be doing a demonstration a little bit, where I'll actually demonstrate using the apps that we use to control the Healy, and show you how we can do scans of our bioenergetic field and see which programs we need, which frequencies are out of balance. And so that'll be a fun part here coming up. But I'm going to let Lori and Ray talk. So Ray, why don't you kind of share your story? I love hearing how you first heard about the Healy and the types of results you got. But if you could also take a minute and explain a little bit about the background of the Healy, how it became invented, and the parent company, and so on.
Yeah, absolutely. We've been doing this for right at 2 years now, and we are still thrilled and excited about where this thing is going. I mean, even tonight, I'll I'll share this with you real quick too, as far as results and seeing things happen. Um, even tonight, my wife had a what I would call an allergic reaction to another holistic product that she had ingested. I won't say what, but um, um, she had this thing going on here in her throat and her chest, and I said, well, why don't you run a scan and see what it says? And it showed up in the bioharmony area under hypersensitivity, meaning that there was some sort of allergic reaction that was going on because of what she ingested. And she ran that hypersensitivity program, and an hour later, it's all cleared up. So I don't know how to explain that, but we just continue to use this thing for our everyday lives. But the way that I found out about this was my son, who's a senior in high school now, had a major growth spurt a couple of years ago, and he was 15 years old. He grew about 6 inches in 8 months, and he was in so much pain he could hardly walk, let alone run. And he was trying to play soccer for high school. And so we were heading out for vacation, and we picked up my best friends, and we're taking them with us. And they saw him, and they had just purchased a Healy. And they said, hey, this thing is cleared by the FDA for chronic and acute pain, arthritis, and muscle soreness. And it's a German made product, meaning quality in most cases. So they said, let's hook him up and see what it'll do. They'd only had theirs for a week, and it only been in the market for about 3 months. I said, well, I'm all in for that, because we spent a bunch of money trying to get him fixed and nothing was working. So they ran a 20-minute pain program on him, and 2 hours later, the kid's walking normal. So my wife says, I got to have one of those. So it was her idea. Remember that. um, so I really wasn't looking for anything outside of that. But we had so many good results with not only pain, but for hormones and digestion. And this is the single biggest or most important thing that I've ever done for my diabetes. I've had diabetes since I was 16 years old, and biggest thing that I've ever done for helping me to reduce the amount of insulin that I take on a daily basis in an insulin pump. So this thing has been life changing for our family. Now, um, going back a few years, I first learned about this technology because of another practitioner that I had met, and people were telling me that she could scan my information field with frequencies and identify what was going on in my body. And I was very intrigued with that. So I paid her a setting fee to connect me to one of those machines like David was talking about. And this little device here, the Healy, the parent company is called Time Waver. Time Waver makes the larger $40,000 practitioner units that set on a practitioner's desk and plug into a computer. And like David said, with that other unit, you hold on to these brass rods, and then you can send that practitioner can send frequency into a person's body and identify what's going on. And this has been 5 or 6 years ago now. First I'd ever learned about frequency technology and how it could work, but that practitioner could tell that I was type 1 diabetic, and which was true. I've been that way for almost 38 years now, insulin dependent. And she said that I had a low thyroid, which was true. She wouldn't have known these things because I wasn't going to tell her. I just wanted to see what the device would pick up, this biofeedback device. So she also could tell that I had E. coli and bacteria in my system, and that I dealt with depression and anxiety, which was all true. And so after sitting in that seat for 3.5 hours, I was really intrigued with all this technology, and I wanted one. So I looked into to see what it would take to get one of those, and it was $40,000. Plus, I had to pay to fly to Germany to get trained on how to use that and decipher all of that information. And then fast forward 3 years from that point, I learned about the Healy because of my son's issue, which is now taken care of, or it was taken care of, within 2 hours. So Healy is much bigger than what you see in my fingertips right now. It's been around since their time waivers been in operation since 2007. The practitioners came to Marcus Schmika, who's the quantum physicist and owner of the company, and said, we need something that we can use in our practice as an extension to our care, and something that they wouldn't have to spend a lot of money on getting their admin people trained for, because this little thing operates off of a cell phone and it reads all the pertinent information that we're needing to know right now. So some people are referring to this as a walking med bed, for anybody that understands that terminology. And it does so much. I mean, hundreds of programs, millions of frequencies. There's over 19 million frequencies that this has capability of, with hundreds of programs in it that have numerous frequencies in each program. So they launched the Healy device to the practitioners in 2017, and then in 2019 they'd realized that over the last couple of years they'd spent a lot of money in research and development on this thing, but it wasn't paying off yet. So they flipped it into the social selling arena in 2019 and started by taking it to the other world markets outside of the US. And the first year they did $7 million, which in my opinion, that's not too bad for just launching it to normal people. And then in 2020, at the beginning of the pandemic, right? Not a lot going on, but now we've entered another need for health products. And so they came into the US market in May of 2020. Most people would think that that's not probably a real good idea to do anything in the pandemic, but we sold out the very first day. And obviously, because of the need and the demand, they had some major issues with manufacturing and distribution. A lot of people weren't getting their devices for 5 to 12 weeks. And then customer service back then was non-existent. It was in Germany, and just too much all at once. So today, the US market has its own home office in Orlando and its own customer service and support. Now, David and Lori and I and my daughter Riley, we all kind of fielded questions and so forth, or became customer service until we had a customer service department. So we've seen the ins and outs of this, and frankly, most of it was issues that just communication issues between a phone or an app, and they were all solvable easily. So we don't have too many issues these days with this, but this is, man, like I just said tonight, even with my wife having that reaction and being able to run that program for hypersensitivity, which is allergies, and within an hour seeing those symptoms diminish. So we can't claim to treat, cure, or mitigate or heal anything. So don't misunderstand that. But when frequencies are out of balance, they're out of line, and you've got a device that can put them back, in balance, man, that's amazing. Love it.
Yeah, I like when you say that, frequencies are out of balance or low frequencies, and we're basically balancing that in your bioenergetic field and inside the body at the cellular level, so that your body can do what it's designed to do, because our bodies heal themselves, right? If we have the right thing in the body, so now we're not working with a nutritional supplement, we're not working with environmental stuff, we're working at the subatomic level with frequency and energy, and it's just awesome. So should we pass it on to Lori, Ray?
Yeah, take it away, Lori.
Well, thank you so much. It is a phenomenal device. And if you think about it, if everything is energy, then everything is supposed to have a optimal frequency, whether it's a skin cell or a brain cell or a heart cell or whatever it is, it's supposed to have a specific frequency. And so the Healy can go in and read those imbalances and show us where we need to get back in balance. And then it can actually help us do that. And David's going to show you that in just a little bit. But to kind of piggyback on what Ray was saying about these high-end biofeedback devices, that was really where I got my start, was 25 years ago. It wasn't a time waiver because they didn't have time waivers back then. It was the QXCI. For any of those of you out there who may remember that. Some people know it as the EPFX. There were a number of incarnations of it. But again, another one of those very high-end biofeedback devices. And similar to Ray's story, mine was the same. I went to a naturopath and she had one of the first of these devices in the United States. And she ran a scan on me. And the first thing she said to me was, "Were you ever in an accident?" And I said, "Well, yeah, I was." I said, "I was in New York City when I was in my 20s and I was hailing a cab and I got hit. Literally, the truck hit my neck and knocked me out cold." And subsequently, what has transpired over the years is that neck injury made the muscles so tight that they contracted to the point where they contracted the vertebrae. The vertebrae compressed, the C1 through C3, and the neurotransmitters that get made in your gut weren't getting up my spinal column into my brain. So I had been dealing with major depressive disorder, severe anxiety disorder, and chronic fatigue as a result of that. And it was horrible. And that's why I was at the naturopath, because all the drugs they were throwing at me were just having, adverse side effects and weren't really taking care of the issue at hand, which was to get those neurotransmitters where they needed to go. Well, she just looked at me and said, "You can take all the drugs in the world, but until we work on the neck and get that opened up and rebalanced, nothing else happens." So through that one initial scan, biofeedback saved my life. Because if I had stayed on all those drugs, it would have never worked for me. It may work for some people, but it was not going to work for me based on the situation. So that's when I fell in love with biofeedback. Absolutely head over heels, madly in love with it. The challenge was that it was, anywhere from $100 to $200 a session every time you'd go in. So between that and the cranial sacral work I needed and the chiropractic and the massage and all those things to help that neck injury, I wasn't getting there often enough. When I'd go, I'd feel great. But when I didn't, it wasn't all that beautiful. I was still dealing with the issue at hand. So on April 28th of 2020, one of my friends called me and said, "You've got to listen to this new device that's opening in the US in 2 days." And I'm like, oh, not another device, not another health and wellness tool. I'm busy. I'm an artist. I'm a coach. I've got too much going on. But I respected her opinion and I got on the call. And when I found out that the Healy was actually an offshoot of a $40,000 high-end biofeedback device, and that I could use this one device to run frequencies on myself, my dog, my clients, my loved ones, anyone at all with one device, and that it was only $1,500 back then, I was like, are you kidding me? That's like 10 biofeedback sessions. That to me was a no-brainer. So biofeedback saved my life. And here's what I want you to know from my heart to yours. Healy gave me my life back, because now I could run sessions on myself every day. Now I could keep those neck muscles limber and get those neurotransmitters where they needed to go and rebalance my neurotransmitters as well. And honestly, after 25 years of having major depressive episodes recurring all the time, and I lost so much of my life, that when this device came into my life, I haven't had a major depressive episode since. This will stop it in its tracks. And to me, that is absolutely, positively the most incredible thing, to have my life back and my energy back, and to be able to live full on and work at a capacity that I hadn't in over 25 years. And then I got this little rescue girl, Gabby. Yes, very good. That was on cue, wasn't it? Yes. And those of you who have pets, what's the one thing we all want for our pets? We want to take care of them. We want them to be healthy, but we all wish we could read their beautiful minds, or that they could talk to us and tell us what's going on. But unless you're an animal communicator, that doesn't generally happen. But with the Healy, here's the cool thing. You can put your pet into the app, and you can scan your pet, and you can run a lot of Bach flowers and bush flowers and gem elixirs and mental balance programs, and you can get to the emotional root cause of what's going on with them. So Gabby, being a rescue, had a lot of trauma her first couple of years of her life, and I started running these frequencies on her every day, and my neighbors started to ask me what I was doing with that dog. I was like, what are you talking about? And they said, well, her whole personality has shifted. She's more outgoing and friendly and approachable. And it's true. It is absolutely true. She was afraid of her own shadow when she first came to live with me. And now she will literally go up to strangers and lick their hands and ask for pets. And it is just the most heartwarming thing to see. So this device has literally changed my life. It's changed Gabby's life, and it's changed my clients' lives too, because what we're not going to take a deep dive into tonight, but if any of you coaches out there are interested, we can get you information. There's some trainings that have been done on it, so you can see how it works. But they have a coaching module that they've added to the Healy, which can go in and find all the subconscious blocks and even the emotional DNA, if you will, that's gotten passed down generationally. It's not just your physical DNA that you were gifted with. You were also gifted with all the emotions and subconscious programs and beliefs and blocks that your ancestors had. And the Healy can find those too. And for anybody that understands epigenetics or wants to learn more about it, that is a game changer. Because if you understand that it's not just the physical DNA, those emotional blocks and beliefs, subconscious beliefs, can actually set off the trigger that sets off the thought, that sets off the emotion, and in turn can trigger the physical DNA. So if you can stop it at that subconscious level, you're not just looking at a personal growth and development tool, you're looking at a health and wellness complex, amazing tool. So there's just so much that this device can do. I wish we had 3 hours to share with you, but we don't. And so I'm going to turn it over to David, and he can actually show you how this works and give you a little demo, and it'll be magical. So reach out to us with any questions that you have.
Yes, you can certainly type questions in the chat. We might answer most of them, but and we are going to go over even what they cost and how you get one and such in just a minute. But here's the Healy. It's very small, as you see, and does have a little clip on the back. You can hook it to your shirt or put it in your pocket. But in this case, I'm showing it with microcurrent, where I have these wires plugged in, and it's going to electrodes on my wrists. So these just snap off of here. The snaps right on the electrodes. Or you can actually even use these kind that you might be familiar with from like a TENS unit that are adhesive, and you could put them on your shoulder, for instance, and run a pain program for your shoulder. Or there's other programs that even like emotional type programs, we put them even behind our ears or near our head. So there's lots of ways we can use those adhesive ones or the electrodes on the wrists. There's a whole nother way we can do do frequencies that may be a little more than a year old now. They invented this great little thing called the coil. You can probably see there's a coil of wire, very thin coil there. And there's a second one down below, and they're parallel. And these are actually Tesla coils. So you might have heard of that term of a Tesla coil. It allows you to transmit energy across space. So these two Tesla coils together create something called a 0-point field and scalar waves. So the frequencies in this case then are scalar waves, which really are more about balancing the bioenergetic field, the information field, as the quantum physicists call it, that EMF field around your body. So I can just plug this coil into the Healy, and now I have a wireless Healy. I can do frequency programs into the bioenergetic field without having the wires. Now you would want to do some of both, okay? So the wires are the most intense. It's sending the frequencies into the cells and through the water in your body, and that's at the biological level. This again is more about the information field, a little more subtle. Healy would say to only do 2 or 3 of these a day, maybe 4 if you're in good shape, and put some space in between. So I might do it like breakfast, lunch, and dinner, try to run something with the wires. But in between, you can do as much as you want with the coil because it's more subtle. You can do them back to back to back all day long. So if you want to get lots of frequency, remember, you could go to pay $150 at a practitioner to do 1 frequency program, or you can do between the wires and the coil 10 or 12 programs in 1 day if you really wanted to. And then you can do this with your whole family. So it is quite a value. The third way we can do frequencies, I'll show you in just a minute, but I'm going to go ahead and plug the wires back in here so you can get a demonstration of how I would do a microcurrent type of a application. So I'm going to share my phone screen because we control the Healy from a smartphone. It can be Apple or Android. And let's see, since I have to download a plugin, so it's going to have to do that real quick. Zoom keeps doing updates. Okay, so now I should be able to hit share. There we go. All right, so you should now be seeing my phone screen, and we'll control that. So either from an Apple or Android phone, or you can use a tablet as well, like an iPad or an Android tablet of some type. I have different programs here. We'll concentrate on these 2 today, but the Healy app, the main pink dot app with this little pink dot here, we call it the pink dot app. That is how I would do a microcurrent program, either with the wires or with the coil. So I think I have to turn on the Healy. Sorry, turn on the Healy. It works a little better if I have the Healy on first so it can find my Healy. Here we go. So now you'll see, oh, we're getting a little strange screen here. Let me try this one more time. Nope. All right.
David, why don't you try the Mag Healy app?
We'll do it through the other app. They're actually updating that first app with a new app that can connect to multiple devices. It's just in beta form, so we'll try this one. It'll look a little different than what I'm used to sharing with people, but we'll be able to do it. So we're connecting to the Healy now. So now my Healy's got this blue light indicating that it's connected by Bluetooth. I'll continue, cancel that app. You'll see there's all these different programs. Let's go back to the very beginning here. Gold cycle, pain, learning, fitness, job. There's anywhere from 4 to 12 programs in each of these pages. Job and sleep, mental balance, beauty and skin, bioenergetic harmony 1 and 2. Let's jump into those. You'll see here that hypersensitivity one that Ray was talking about today that his wife used that helped that allergic reaction get calmed down. I had a lot of results with this one called nerves. I used to have numbness in this right hand, and especially in the pointer finger and a little bit in my thumb. And I play piano, so I didn't enjoy that. But when I'll show you in a minute how we can do scans, and the Healy was telling me over and over and over, you need to run this nerves program. And over time, that has cleared up to where I have normal sensitivity in my fingers again. So as we've had a lot of testimonials about that type of thing, like neuropathy type things. Over here in Bioenergetic Harmony 2 is a sciatica local program. I also had an issue with sciatica pain for about 10 years, flare-ups once or twice a week. And now for over 2 years, I've only had 1 flare-up in that 2-year period. And of course, I used my Healy at that point to help with that as well. But you can see we can use any of these types of programs. Let's just say, for instance, I were doing this one called food sensitivities, and I would start it. I would just start the program. It says here it'll be 60 minutes long. It can also be used with the Healy coil or the wires. And I hit start. It transmit the program over to the Healy, which means it's sending all the frequencies that would be used for the food sensitivity programs, which were developed on the Time Waver device, that big $40,000 device. So they've figured out which frequencies, which there's probably hundreds of frequencies that can help with food sensitivities, because that could be a lot of things in your body, right? How you maybe how you do transport oxygen within the body, how your circulation works, and how antihistamine reaction. So there's frequencies for all sorts of different things that would be with food sensitivity. So you can see it's still transmitting. So this is a bigger program, probably hundreds of frequencies. And when the program starts, you'll see that it'll choose frequencies for me. So what's really, really cool about the Healy is it's not just taking these frequency sets and just blasting them to me whether I need them or not. It is going to be scanning my field. There's a quantum sensor in here that will scan my field as it's sending the program. I'm going to bump up the intensity right here. Instead of 15%, see up at the very bottom. There we go. When that wave starts moving, it means I have good conductivity. If I go up a little more, for me about 45%, I start to feel a little tingling in my hands. I can feel that sense of energy. And look what happens if I unplug one of these wires. That line goes back to static. It knows there's no conductivity going through my body. So that's showing when I plug that in, now the frequencies are flowing between the two wrist electrodes and flowing through my body. So this will go for about 59 minutes and 18 seconds, but you can see right now it's doing 425 hertz, and now it went to 625 hertz. And every 10 seconds, it's choosing another frequency. And for about the first 9 minutes, it's testing and creating a queue of frequencies that I need. And then it will actually start showing a progress amount, how much your body is utilizing that frequency. Once it gets up to 100%, that one drops out of the queue, a new one comes in. It's very cool, 73.1 hertz. So these are all these parts of these frequencies. Again, there's probably hundreds of frequencies, but it's choosing the one I need. So if you and I were to both run this program at the same time, we would see different frequencies being chosen because we're different. And that's why it's also biofeedback. It's reading your bioenergetic field, getting feedback, and adjusting the frequencies for you individually. So people that understand that know that that would normally cost thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars to do that type of biofeedback in real time. But we can do it with the Healy for very, very small amount compared, that I'll share with you in just a minute. So that's how we would do a frequency program. Again, I could unplug that, use the coil, and do that just as effectively. So let's go out of here now, though. I will just close out that program, and we'll run over here to the Heal Advisor Analyze app called the Blue Dot app. Go next. On the Healy. All right, so you see here we have resonance analysis, coaching analysis, aura analysis. If you feel familiar with aura, that's the 7 chakras, which are those energy centers in the body, created in our bodies as certain points of energy. So many people think it's the endocrine system, like the thyroid gland is that throat chakra and so on. But you can do analysis of those 7 energy centers and see the physical, mental, emotional, all the aspects that is affecting you, and you can put those back in balance. Coaching analysis, Lori referred to, where you can do energy work even in areas like personal relationships and like motivational things, self-worth, business and finance, all sorts of cool things. But resonance analysis is where most of us are playing a little bit every day. Okay, so I'm going to go in there, and I'll just use me as a client. I'll show you real quick. It's kind of cool. We can add a client. You notice that we can do people or animals or plants. Everything is frequency and energy. So we can have client files that are even your plants. If you want to do some energy work with your plants, or your dog, or your cat, or your horse, or your lizard, whatever you have. I'm going to just select myself as the client, and it will scan and connect to the Healy again. The little Bluetooth light will come on here in just a second. Actually, it'll find it, and it'll show the serial number of my Healy here on the screen. And then I can select that, and it will connect. And so now I have access to the quantum sensor in here, and it can read my field. So I'm just going to, again, kind of clip this to my shirt, get it out of the way, continue to the database. So it's going to say, with what do I have the greatest resonance now? It's going to compare my bioenergetic field to these different databases and see what I need from them. So if I jump down to here, right about here, you can see these are all those frequency programs we saw in the other app, from beauty programs, bioenergetic harmony. Those, we kind of looked at both of those pages. The chakras, actually I didn't end up going through all of them, but you can see there's deep cycle, digital nutrition, fitness, job, learning, mental balance, meridian programs. There's one called Power of Three. There's skin and sleep programs. Stimulation are the pain programs, where a few of these are FDA cleared. So there's lots of different things. If you see down here, there's extra databases like I Ching is traditional Chinese medicine, Schussler salts, vital substances. Up at the top, we have Alaskan gem elixirs, Australian bush flowers, Bach flower remedies, homeopathic remedies. So lots of things, then even a set for animals. What I like to do the most is go to this all Healy programs, do an analysis. I just touch the screen. It's not scanning my fingerprint. It's just how I touch it to say, hey, I'm ready for you to scan me, Healy. And you'll notice it's coming up for me that the learning programs are #1, and then digital nutrition, beauty, deep cycle, and bioenergetic support. It always gives the first 5 program sets. So I would normally go into these first couple that are highest in percentage and resonance and scan within those. So let's go to learning and digital nutrition real quick. I'll just show you how I would do this each day. I'll go to Healy again, learning programs. There's 9 programs in that group, and it will always bring up the top 5 in order of importance. So this was the #1 program group, and the #1 program is exam systemic. So this was developed to be a program you might be used when you're preparing for an exam, or that kind of a concentration mode that you'd need to be in. But the Healy doesn't know it by the name of the program. Okay, the Healy has no idea. The Healy is just comparing my field to the frequency sets and knows that there's the most frequencies that are out of balance line up with the exam that could balance them back in line. So if exam, and then memory, learning systemic, stress, learning acute. So these are the 5 programs I would run. Let's just look at, for fun, at digital nutrition, because those are more on the physical side of the body. That was my second set. So what I would do is I would run these scans in the morning, and then throughout the day I would run that exam systemic and the memory program, and maybe the first, some of the ones that come up in this digital nutrition, and I could go into those other program groups too. But here you'll see the Healy Seeing Spirituality, which actually comes up for me with me quite a bit. It came up a couple of weeks ago on one of these. And what's interesting, I don't quite understand what the purpose of that exact program is, because it's listed in a detox program set. So I'm not sure if this is just a weird German to English translation, or there's something about detox that has to do with spirituality. But then children, women, libido, lymphatic system. So some of these, again, the Healy doesn't know by the name. So you think, why would it be bringing up women for a man? Well, maybe it's programs that have to do with hormones, and there's something hormonally out of balance. And the program might have been made for women, and specifically, like if you were just choose the program. But the Healy's saying there's frequencies in here you need. Because remember, it's going to scan my field and give me the ones I need the most, okay, from that set. So just keep that in mind, that that's what these are referring to. So I would go over to that other app and run it, or look at this, what we can do. I can hit actions, vibrate. This is the 3rd way of doing frequencies. I showed you with the wires. I showed you we can do it with the coil, so it's wireless. But here's another wireless way that's different. It's going to vibrationally send frequencies from all 5 of these programs into my bioenergetic field. And this may sound a little strange, but you can even do this remotely with someone. I'm going to decrease the length of the program to just 37 seconds so I can show it to you. So it's actually sending me frequencies from each of these sets, but it's doing the scan. The blue wavy line you saw each time I was doing a scan, that means it's reading your bioenergetic field and scanning. The pink wavy line is the information it's sending into your field. So it's both sending and receiving information right now. And that's what is so cool about the Healy, that it's adjusting for me personally in real time. And you can do these kind of scans remotely. I meet with people all the time over Zoom. I can scan their bioenergetic field by putting them into a client file and send them the frequencies that they need. And that, to me, that sounded so weird. I was like, don't even talk to me about that at first. But I've done it over and over and over, and people have a result. They can feel it, they can sense it, and they have a result. And it's a great way to introduce the Healy to someone as well. All right, so lastly, I wanted to show you there's a really cool thing we have called a Heal Advisor search, where we can go in here and just type in any kind of condition or symptom or disease or anything. So let's look at, let's say you do have an issue with some kind of allergic response, like Ray's wife was. I would select this and just type in, let's say, allergy or allergic inflammation of the esophagus, allergy meridian, anti-allergic processes. So you can look up, all the different things that can come up. There's an awful lot of things that could come up that you could type in, but we'll just do allergy. And it will tell me that there are these programs in my Healy based on the addition of the Healy I have, which program groups I have access to. All of these would be helpful to the body in dealing with allergies. So I could just make a list of these, or I could add them to an IMF schedule, individualized microcurrent frequency schedule, and create a schedule of programs for me to run. So if you want to just work on one issue in your life, whether it's physical, mental, emotional, whatever, you just type it in there, write down, or create a schedule of these programs. That's a very cool way. Last thing I did not mention, though, is that we can actually also do expert programs. There's a page in our Healy where you can work with a time waiver therapist. And if you have something serious, you have some type of a disease or an issue you really want to work on, you can get programs that were developed on the time waiver made, and they can have disease names on them. Okay, they can say diverticulitis or cystic fibrosis or diabetes. You won't see those kind of names in the Healy because it's a consumer device, and the FDA doesn't like it to have us making it look like we can heal anything. But the time waiver is a therapist, practitioner, doctor type device, so it does have programs with those names, and you can work with the time waiver therapist. Typically they're only like $40 or $50, and then they send you that program, and it would live on your Healy forever, and you can run that program. It's very cool. Or you can pay them a little more and do custom programs that they'll make for you. So now let's quickly go over, and I'm going to share my computer screen and just explain the different Healy editions. So let's hit play here and go quickly through this. So there's five different editions of the Healy, 5 different prices. The hardware is the same for every edition. So it's really, the edition is which program groups do you have, like learning and chakras and meridians and bioenergetic harmony and so on. And then which app modules you have available, like that resonance analysis or coaching analysis or aura analysis or the search module, the digital nutrition module, and so on. So you could start with a lower edition if financially you need to start with a less expensive edition. And later you can upgrade to a higher edition, and you don't have to get a whole new Healy. It's just the software that you're purchasing. So when you purchase your Healy, you get all the stuff you need to use it, but they also give you 2 weeks to play with it. So that from the day you receive your Healy, you have 2 weeks to put it through its courses and make sure it's something that you enjoy. And if not, for some reason, you can return it and get all your money back. So these are all the different program groups. I'll just quickly skip over, but let's just show you there's lots of programs. There's as many as 294 different microcurrent programs. Plus there's all those additional databases in that second app I showed you, like the Bach flower remedies and so on. That's not even included because they aren't microcurrent programs. Here's the first edition of the Healy. The lowest price is called Healy Gold. It's about $500 in the United States here. Gold Cycle Group and the Bioenergetic Support Group, and then the first 2 pain programs, these are the FDA cleared programs. So that's only got 11 microcurrent programs. The one app module is that search module where I typed in allergy a minute ago. So you compare that to our most expensive edition of the 5, it's called Healy Professional. It's about $4,000 normally, but we have a sale going on where they're half price. So even this one that many people have paid $4,000 for, you can get it half of that right now at about $2,000. But it will have 216 different microcurrent programs in all of these different categories. You saw all of these in my Healy because mine is a Healy Professional. And all these different app modules. We were playing with the, where was it? The resonance module here. We did the search module, but you also saw that success coaching module. You saw the ARA module on My Healy, and so on. In between, there's these different ones when you go from gold to holistic, and I'll go to the screen where it shows that holistic and above are all half price. So nobody's buying a gold right now. So when you go from gold to holistic, you go from 11 microcurrent programs to 63 programs and adding these 5 more program groups. And it's about the same price as a Healy Gold since it's half price. So you would start, this would really be the lowest one you would pay right now and have 63 programs. Now, if you do have the holistic or the gold, you can't do that scanning that I showed you and actually see which programs are most resonant with you, which is really one of the coolest features of the Healy. So I do recommend, if you can, to start at least at the Resonance Edition, although most people are doing the Professional right now because it's half price, and just to save $2,000 on a device like this that your whole family can use is just such a great deal, and you're getting so many programs. So you can just see, we can, this little chart can be shared with you if you talk to the person that told you about Healy, if you want to see what kind of programs come in each one. And these darker names are the ones that are app modules, which have more functionality than just a program group. The coil is extra, about $225. I do highly recommend that. So most people are buying right now the Professional and the coil. And then I usually recommend getting this very cool little travel kit that is hard. You'll hold your Healy in a little spot, and you have a spot for your wires and everything. And in fact, I recommend getting an extra one of these wires too, so if you damage one, you can still do your microcurrent. And lastly, you just want to talk about how you can become a member. You may just want a Healy for yourself, and that's fine. We love our customers. You would just be a customer. But if you know other people and you would like to share Healy and you'd like to build an income stream for yourself, we have an amazing business opportunity. We are using a network marketing type of distribution model, I guess I would say that. And you can build a business promoting this technology. You can earn commissions for referring others to Healy. You can earn a free Healy Resonance Plus edition by sharing Healy. So many people get involved as a member, even if all they want to do is earn that free device, so they have 2. Or people like me and Ray and Lori who are doing this at a much more serious level. In fact, my wife was able to resign her position, and this is all we do now is Healy. Today was the major payday for our monthly commissions, and I was pleasantly surprised that was a nice big paycheck. So I am earning 2 to 3 times of what I was making at the job I quit 2.5 years ago by building a Healy business now. So if you want to get involved with that, we have all sorts of resources, and Healy does lots of training, and you aren't going to be left in the dark on how to use your Healy. We have great support here with the different teams that you might be involved in. So Ray and Lori, I pretty much finishes up what I was saying. Did anybody ask any questions in the chat that we need to make sure we answer, even for the whole group here?
I haven't seen any questions, just some comments.
Okay.
I think we're good. I just wanted to show this real quick. We have a new device. It's called a Mag Healy as well. Most people start off with the Healy device and all the programs. The Professional edition is what they usually start off with. But this is a really awesome device for being able to run this in the middle of a room. Atmospherically, there's programs for the environment that you're in, whether it's an office or a car, or pain programs or mood enhancement programs for a room. You can lean it up against a bottle of water and infuse frequencies into your water, whether it be for sleeping or energy or tiredness, that sort of thing. There's all kinds of programs in there, including the Carolyn McMakin programs, and she's really the author of what they call frequency specific microcurrent. And so she's been doing she's done 25 years worth of research, and we have numerous programs of hers that are in this because of our partnership with her. So we've got a device that houses her programs without the need for wires. So this is all magnetic frequency.
And those programs are absolutely amazing. The only way you can get frequency specific microcurrent is to go get one of her $12,000 devices. So the fact that we have 24 of her programs in that Mag Healy makes that alone makes it worth its weight in gold. And I got to tell you guys, oh my goodness, I test drove one while I was down in Florida at the board meeting. I never slept that good in my entire life. Honestly, 7 hours straight without waking up was, in my world, unheard of. It was just, it felt so good, and I felt so rested the next day. Absolutely incredible. And I ran the concentration program one night, and I had to do a big PowerPoint presentation, and I was laser focused. And normally I'm like ADHD all over the board, you know, looking at this, doing that, and I was just right there in the moment. So I just can't say enough about my experience with it.
It's pretty nice to be able to use multiple devices. You know, we'll connect somebody with 2 or 3 Healys, and then you can still have this sitting on the table and run another program and receive it with the magnetic frequencies. So there's a lot of versatility with what we have in our hands.
Yeah, and Healy's going to continue to build more and more amazing products. I know maybe a year ago or so they hired 13 more quantum physicists to be developing products. So there's quite a future for Healy. That's why we believe it's going to be a multi-billion-dollar company. So if you're interested in promoting Healy with us, I know many of you are, because we're all looking for extra income streams, right? Especially in the economies nowadays. So you should get back to the person that told you about the Healy. Those prices that I showed you only go to the end of September. Okay, so these 50% off deals are really, really, really a good promotion that Healy's been doing kind of in the summertime, but those end on Friday night, 8 o'clock Eastern, because it's kind of midnight over in Europe somewhere that it ends. The other thing is, if you want that professional, but you just don't feel like you can do $2,000, we do offer financing through a company called Klarna. Right at our Healy checkout screen in our shop, you can choose to pay by Klarna. And when you hit pay now, it goes to a separate screen where you go through the process of just seeing if you qualify for financing. So if you have decent credit, you should be approved. If you have great credit, they're doing 0% financing even on the Healys for up to 24 months. So that can reduce let's say you got the Healy Professional and the coil and you had some sales tax, that could be $2,400. And that can reduce that payment down to a little over $100 a month if it's 0% interest. So that's not bad, right? And then you can pay it off early if you want to. And if you want to start sharing Healy like us, we will show you how to build a business. And you can be part of this company that's going to go from being a $100 million company to a multi-billion-dollar company over the next few years. And I just see this as being this huge opportunity. So if you know entrepreneurial people, if you know anyone that's looking for an answer to get out of their job, be able to fire their boss and be their own boss, this is an awesome, awesome business. So with that, unless you two have anything else to say, I think we'll wrap it up here.
Just think about it. Biohacking is like the buzzword these days. And that's what we're doing with the Healy and the Mag Healy. So anybody who's looking to build a cutting edge business, come on and play with us, because this is fun.
Thank you all for being here this evening. Reach out to the person that invited you to this call tonight and tell them that you want a free personal frequency scan if you haven't already done so.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.